Now, the greatest radio shows of all time.
Suspense.
The Shadow Node.
Washington calling David Harding, Counter-Spy.
Classic radio theater.
The Great Gildersleeve.
Fibber McGee and Molly.
Dragnet. Gunsmoke.
The Lone Ranger.
Now, step back into our time machine with your host, Wyatt Cox.
Good evening, friends of the Inner Sanctum.
The 10th episode of Dr. Christian, starring Jean Hersholdt, who had developed the character himself as he had been in the role of the doctor of the Dion quintuplets in the motion picture back in the 1930s. And he adapted the character of Dr. Christian from that doctor. This is only the 10th episode of the series. This was originally broadcast January 9th, 1938. It's entitled Hit and Run.
From New York City, we bring you Chapter 10 in the Chronicles of River's End. The star of the show, Jean Hersholdt, in his greatest of all roles. The title of the show, Dr. Christian. The sponsor of the show, the Cheesebro Manufacturing Company, owners of the trademark Vaseline. For today's story of Dr. Christian, we take you to the River's End Light and Power Plant. It's 6 o'clock on New Year's Eve and snowing hard. 2 men on the day shift are preparing to leave.
Hurry up and get your coat on. I'll give you a lift. I'm driving around by your place.
Thanks, but I'm going to supper at Dave Fenton's.
I guess there'll be quite a bit of celebrating going on tonight.
Well, Dave's got something to celebrate for. Any guy who was out of a job as long as he was.
I guess that's right.
I never saw a fellow so tickled to go to work.
You all ready, Sam?
Yep, all set, Dave. And plenty hungry.
Well, it won't be long now. You coming, Alan, or are you going to help out the night crew and work tonight? Not me. I ain't going to work any more till next year.
Say, it's commencing to snow in earnest, isn't it?
Yep, looks like we're going to have a real old-fashioned New Year's. Boy, this is great. You can have it. I'll be half an hour driving home in this storm. Pretty soft for you, Dave, living right across the road from the plant. By the time you get that jalopy of yours thawed out and started, we'll be halfway through supper. Well, so long. I'll see you tomorrow. So long, Alan. Happy New Year. Same to you. Happy New... Dave! Look out! Look out!
They got him. He's hit. He never made a sound. He's killed. Dave! Dave, speak to me! Dave! Is he breathing? I can't tell. It's so dark. Can you feel his heart? Can't tell a thing. Darn that guy. He never even stopped. Never mind that. Give me a hand with Dave. We got to get him into his house. How did it come to hit him? Oh, it happened so blame fast. The fella kind of skidded into him. Jammed him up against your car. Lord, how quick a fella's life can be snuffed out. Quit talking and get a hold of his ankles. Okay. I got him. Take it easy now. Easy, boy. He's just like a log. Do you suppose it's any use? I don't know. As soon as we get him into the house, we'll phone Dr. Christian.
Hello? This is Dr. Christian. An accident? Where? Well, does he seem to be badly hurt? Oh, he's unconscious. Yes? Dave Fenton. Sure, I know him. Yes, I see. A car, you say? Well, did you recognize it? Oh, where's Dave now? Yes, about 5 minutes? Yes. Tell Mrs. Fenton to loosen his clothes, but don't move him. Yes, I'll be right out.
Oh, it seems like hours. What's Dr. Christian doing in there so long, Sam?
I don't know, Miss Fenton.
Why doesn't he come out and tell us?
Oh, now, don't take on so. Everything will be all right now that Dr. Christian is here.
Oh, but Dave, he hasn't moved or said a word.
Dave will pull through all right.
You don't mean that? You're just trying to...
Why, sure I mean it. Dr. Christian's a wonderful doctor. He'll bring Dave around. You wait and see.
Even if he does, what are we going to do? How are we going to pay sick bills? And what's going to become of Dave's job? They'll have to put someone in his place. And how do I know Dave will get it back?
Well, the main thing now is for him to get well.
Yes, if he does. How could the driver of that car be so cruel? How could he do this to us? Oh, how is he, Dr. Christian?
There's no change, Mrs. Fenton.
Oh, Doctor.
Sam, there's no use in your staying any longer.
I don't mind, Dr. Christian, if I can be of any help.
No. You run along home and get your supper.
All right, Doctor.
Oh, there's one thing you might do.
Yes?
You know where Mrs. Thomas lives, don't you?
Yeah, I know.
Well, stop in and tell her to come over here, will you?
Well, sure, I'll be glad to. Well, good night, Miss Fenton. I sure hope everything works out okay. And happy new... goodbye.
Good night.
Goodbye, Dr. Christian.
Goodbye, Sam. Sit down, Mrs. Fenton. You're tired.
Dr. Christian, will he get well?
Well, you see, he's pretty badly hurt.
He's going to die?
No, I didn't say that.
Oh.
He has a serious concussion of the brain. We'll have to watch it very carefully. Right now, I can't tell what might happen.
But there's a chance he won't get...
Yes, there is.
Oh, when will you know?
Well, I can't even answer that. Maybe not for several days yet.
I see.
About what time was it when the accident happened?
Oh, a little after 6 o'clock. Dave always left the plant around 6. That car swung around the curve and hit him as he was crossing the road.
Oh, you mean right in front of the plant?
Yes.
Well, was Sam with him at the time?
Sam and Mr. Allen. It was Mr. Allen who phoned you.
Well, how soon after the accident did he phone?
Oh, it couldn't have been more than 5 minutes. You see, they carried Dave to the house here, and then Mr. Allen phoned.
Well, we can be thankful there wasn't any time lost anyway. That's something. And the driver of the car, he didn't stop?
No.
Well, he'll wish he had when they catch him.
They'll never catch him. Why, he's miles away by this time. And what good is it if they do? That isn't going to make Dave well.
No, but he'll put that driver where he belongs. A man who's careless with an automobile is just as dangerous as a man who is careless with a gun. Neither Sam nor Alan got his license number.
No.
But I think Alan told me he did notice it was a coupe.
Yes. When they brought Dave in, I just finished setting the table. We were going to have a little New Year's celebration on account of Dave's new job. It looked like the new year was starting out so fine. And now... Oh, I'm sorry.
Look, let's talk about it anymore now. You go upstairs and lie down. Maybe you can get a little sleep.
Oh, no.
Get some rest anyway.
Dear, there's someone at the door.
Yes, you go ahead and I'll answer it.
Thank you.
Oh, come in, Mrs. Thomas.
Hello, Dr. Christian. Sam Burns told me about it. How is Mr. Fenton, Doctor?
Pretty bad.
Oh. Where's Mrs. Fenton?
Upstairs lying down. I want you to stay here with her tonight.
Oh, well, I'd like to, Doctor, but I don't think I can.
You can't? Why?
Well, Marion Brooks is giving a New Year's Eve party, and I promised her I'd come over and help in the kitchen.
A New Year's party?
Mm-hmm.
Well, don't you think a dying man and a heartbroken woman are more important than a New Year's party?
Not to Marion Brooks, they aren't.
Oh, come. Marion Brooks may be upstage, but she's not as cold-blooded as that.
Well, just the same, she'd never forgive me if
Nonsense. You call her up and tell her to get somebody else.
Oh, no, I couldn't do that. I wouldn't dare to.
Wouldn't dare to?
No.
Well, just because Marion Brooks is the richest girl in town isn't any reason why...
Well, it isn't exactly that, but the Brookses always hire me when they need extra help, and if I disappoint Miss Marion tonight, they'll never hire me again.
When it's an emergency case like this?
That wouldn't make any difference to her.
Oh.
No, you don't know Miss Marion like I do. I've worked there. She walks over everybody. Can't you get Mrs. Morrow to stay?
Well, she lives way out on the river road. She couldn't walk here in a night like this, and I haven't time to go out after her. I've got to make 2 important calls in just a little while.
Well, I don't know what to say, Doctor.
Well, you stay here. I'll fix it up with Marion Brooks. I'll talk to her myself.
Well, if you will, of course, I'll be glad to stay.
Mm-hmm. Here, write these telephone numbers down.
Mm-hmm.
Cedar, C, 923 and Cedar 86. Those are the two places where I'm going.
Yes, sir.
And if anything happens, you can reach me at one of the place or the other.
All right, Doctor.
If Mrs. Fenton wakes up, tell her I'll be right back.
Yes, Doctor. Is there anything you want me to do about him?
Yes. He's here in the downstairs bedroom. I'll show you what I want you to do.
Mm-hmm.
But the most important, if there's the slightest change in his condition, don't wait a second. Phone.
Mm-hmm.
January 9th, 1938, Dr. Christian on Classic Radio Theater.
America's founders knew power corrupts, and ultimate power corrupts ultimately, and absolute power corrupts absolutely. That's why they built in checks and balances to prevent any one group from seizing all power.
And that's why our president is elected by a college of electors to protect the rights of little states like Delaware and Wyoming against giants like New York and California. After all, our country is a republic, the United States of America, not the United State. Our states are independent sovereign powers who created the federal government, not the other way around.
And that's why all power ultimately lies in we the people and the states, not a central dictatorship of cronies. Did you know that? Thank God for the U.S. Constitution.
Find out more how our amazing Constitution and Bill of Rights protect us, the citizens, against power-crazed politicians in Washington. Help us take back America. Go to ouramericanrights.com. Brought to you by the American Media Council.
I'm Wyatt Cox. You're listening to Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. You know, one of the things that even happened later on is that people would hear somebody portraying a doctor on the radio on a regular basis, and they would write them and ask them questions. And that happened with Jean Hersholdt as well. So convincing was his portrayal of Dr. Christian. This episode of Dr. Christian, January 9th, 1938.
We continue our story now with the scene again laid in Dr. Christian's office.
Hello? Yes, this is Dr. Christian. Oh, hello, Sam. No, you didn't wake me up. I've just gotten back to the office. The phone was ringing when I came in the door. Yeah. Yes, I've been there all night. No change yet. Yes, Mrs. Thomas is with them. She'll call me if there's anything. Yes, I'm going back in a few moments. I'll let you know. Yes, goodbye.
Happy New Year, Dr. Christian, if it doesn't sound too ghastly at this time of day.
Oh, good morning, Marion Brooks. Still partying, I see. Or is that gown...
Giddy, isn't it? I practically knocked the eye out of River's End with it last night.
And you don't find it too warm for this balmy morning?
Oh, I'm going right home and get into my ski clothes. We just finished up the party with breakfast at the coffee pot.
No, so you celebrated here in River's End this year?
Uh-huh.
Have a good time?
Oh, we did all right. Not like last New Year's in Paris, though. Oh, what I dropped in for. I'm sorry I was too busy to come to the phone when you called last evening. I hope it wasn't anything too important.
When I called?
Uh-huh.
Oh, yes. Oh, no, it wasn't important. I just left a message for you.
Oh, the house was in such an uproar, I never received it. What was it?
Oh, only that I borrowed Mrs. Thomas from you.
Mrs. Thomas?
Yes, I believe she was to help in the kitchen.
Oh, yes, I remember. She didn't show up.
Now, don't be angry about it.
Well, of course I can't be angry with you, Dr. Christian, for the shortcomings of a domestic. But as the woman broke her word...
Oh, she didn't break her word. It was really my fault.
Oh, that class of people are never dependable. I'll see to it that she isn't hired at our house again.
Oh, no. Mrs. Thomas wanted to come, but I wouldn't let her. I needed her on a case.
Is that any reason why she should spoil my party? And without even notifying me?
Well, I notified you, or at least tried to. You know, Mrs. Thomas is a widow and a servant.
It isn't my fault she's a widow.
and I'm not particularly interested in how deserving she is. In fact, I'm not interested in her at all.
Marion. Well, I don't know what's happened to you. You used to be a pretty nice sort of a girl. Even if your father did spoil you a little, I thought you had the right kind of stuff in you. But ever since you came back from the school, you've been high-hatting the whole town.
Well, really, Dr. Christian?
Well, some of these days you're going to find out.
Oh, good morning, Dr. Christian. I'm Benson of the Highway Patrol.
Oh, yes. Good morning, officer.
Say, do you know whose coupe that is parked outside? The one with the damaged rear fender?
Yes, it's mine.
Oh, how do you do, Miss Brooks?
How do you...
Miss Brooks been driving some of their party guests home.
Well, I guess I'm on the wrong trail. I've been working on that Fenton case, Doctor. You know, if they ever catch that hit-and-run driver, he'll be going up for a nice long jolt. Say, how is Fenton, anyway?
Well, he's still in a critical condition.
Yeah? Not going to die, is he?
Well, I wouldn't want to say that, but...
Because if he does, somebody'll be wanted for manslaughter.
Manslaughter?
That's right, Miss Brooks. Maybe murder. Well, thanks, Doctor, and I'll keep in touch with you. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Bye, Miss Brooks.
Goodbye.
Is that the new coupe you got for Christmas, Marion?
Yes.
Well, it's a shame you had to smash a fender.
Oh, well, what difference does it make? Money'll fix it.
Well, how did you happen to do it?
I was driving in that snowstorm last night, and road was a little slippery. I put on my brakes suddenly and skidded. The back end of the coupe sideswiped a parked car. And
Whose?
I don't know. I didn't stop to see.
Well, it seemed to me that when you damaged somebody's car, you ought to stop.
Well, I had to hurry home for the party. Besides, you couldn't hurt one of those old rattletraps the workmen at the power plant used.
Power plant?
Yes, that's where it was parked. The snow was all caked on the windshield, and I was on the turn before I saw it, so I slammed on my brakes.
You mean to turn in front of the power plant?
Yes. They ought to fix that curve.
Well, what time did this happen?
Last night about 6 o'clock. Well, now that I've confessed all, I must run.
Marion. Sit down for a minute.
Why? What's the matter?
That coupe that skidded around the curb in front of the power plant hit a man.
Hit a man?
Yes. Dave Fenton. It happened about 6 o'clock last night.
Oh.
Dave and two of the other men were standing there by a parked car. Dave stepped out onto the road and the coupe skidded into him. He's lying at death's door now.
Will he... Do you think he'll live?
I don't know.
Those other people, did they get the license number?
No. But they don't need it. They know what time the accident happened and that the car was a coupe. It won't be hard to check up.
Oh, but they won't suspect me. They'll never think of me. Even that policeman didn't suspect. And if you keep quiet and save the man...
I don't believe I can save him, Marion.
Then, if the man dies...
It will be murder, Marion. And if it is, the police won't stop looking until they find the person who did it.
Murder. Arrested for murder. No, it couldn't happen to me. I'll get out of it. I don't care how much it costs. Only...
I'm afraid this is one thing money won't fix.
But it wasn't my fault. I didn't see him standing there. I didn't see him. It was snowing too hard. I thought I only skidded into the parked car.
Well, you should have stopped and found out.
But I was in a hurry. I didn't run away deliberately. I didn't think.
And I suppose that's going to make it easier for Mrs. Fenton because you didn't think.
Oh.
I suppose that's going to keep Dave Fenton from dying. Just because you didn't do it on purpose.
Oh, he can't die. You've got to save him.
Why? To keep you out of prison?
I'm not thinking only of myself.
Oh, yes, you are. Of nobody but yourself. That's what's the matter with you.
There's Dad, the family. What'll happen to them if I'm arrested? You've got to do something for their sake.
Yes, and what will happen to Mrs. Fenton and her baby if David dies and is crippled for life? A minute ago you said it wasn't your fault Mrs. Thomas was a widow and that you weren't interested in that kind of people. Well, now Mrs. Fenton might be a widow, and it will be your fault. And you're going to be interested in that kind of people whether you like it or not.
How can you be so cruel?
You've been a conceited, selfish little snob. You walked over everybody and gotten away with it. Now that you're going to be caught...
No,
you come sniveling and sniveling around looking for mercy.
If you'll only help me. Help me just this once.
Wait. Hello? Yes, Mrs. Thomas. Yes, I'll be right out. Come on.
Where are we going?
Well, maybe you've never seen a man who's been hit by a speeding car. Maybe you don't know what happens to him. Or what it is to watch him die.
Oh, no.
I'm going out to Dave Fenton's. And you are going with me.
Why can't we go into the sick room, Miss Brooks?
I don't know, Mrs. Fenton. Dr. Christian wants us to wait here. Mrs. Thomas is in there.
But I thought he brought you along to help.
No, he brought me along because... You see, my car was right outside his office, handier than his, and I drove him.
I wish there weren't any cars in the world. This wouldn't have happened.
And yet, if there weren't any cars, well, think what it would mean not to be able to get a sick person to the hospital in time. Or even if Dr. Christian couldn't get here when you needed him.
Oh, suppose that's right. It isn't the cars, it's the cruel people who drive them.
People aren't cruel. Not most people.
Well, then they're careless. It's the same thing.
But accidents happen everywhere.
No, not like this one.
January 9th, 1938, Dr. Christian. I'm Wyatt Cox. You're listening to Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox right here on your favorite radio station.
You know, if you feel like you're stuck with a health care plan you don't like, right now is a great time to switch to MediShare. They'll waive your new member fee if you join by January 15th. So that's $170 in addition to all the other savings. The typical family saves $500 or more per month. And MediShare has double the customer satisfaction rate when compared to health insurance. Double. Again, join by January 15th and save even more. Call 833-34-BIBLE. That's 833-34-BIBLE.
You're in tune to Classic Radio Theater with me, Wyatt Cox, here on your favorite radio station. And now the conclusion of Dr. Christian, as it was originally broadcast January 9th, 1938.
The man who was driving this car didn't even slow up. He went right on. He didn't even care enough to stop and see the damage he'd done. Hitting a man, maybe killing him, and driving right on.
Maybe he didn't know he'd hit a man. It was snowing last night. The driver couldn't see well.
Oh, he must have known he'd hit something. No, he just didn't care. Well, you'd stop if you hit someone, wouldn't you?
Well,
But he couldn't be bothered. He was probably hurrying to some New Year's Eve party. Last night he was probably celebrating, having a good time while Dave was lying in there.
Oh, please don't cry. Don't.
Well, Dave's worse this morning. I'm afraid he's going to die.
Oh, no.
Dr. Christian said he might. And then the man who drove that car will be a murderer. Dr. Christian says they'll catch him, too. He'll go to prison.
Please don't.
Oh, Doctor.
Oh, Mrs. Fenton, will you get me a couple of towels?
Oh, yes, Doctor, they're in the kitchen. I'll go right in.
Dr. Christian, I'm going. I can't stay here.
You're going to stay right where you are.
You're torturing me.
I'm only showing you what's happened.
Oh, if I'd only stop to realize. Dr. Christian.
Yes?
Will you come here a minute? Look.
I see. Hand me my stethoscope. That thing on the table there. Oh. Tell Mrs. Fenton and Miss Brooks to come in. And hurry! Hurry! Well, if you'll wait till I telephone Marion, I'll go home with you. I thought it'd be better to phone from the office here instead of Mrs. Fenton's.
I'm not going home.
What?
I'm going to give myself up. Tell the police. I'll phone them as soon as you've finished.
Oh, no, wait. I wouldn't do that right away. Why don't you go home now? We'll have a little time to think things over, and
No,
then we can...
I'm going to call them now. You didn't think I had the courage, but I have.
Marion, you want me to confess something? I've always thought you had the courage. I've always thought that down deep inside you was the girl who was really you. The girl you used to be. Why, you couldn't change in those few years you were away at school. It was only something you put on. Like that party dress.
Oh, people must have hated me. As Mrs. Fenton will hate me when she finds out.
Oh, we can talk about that later. You go home now and let me see the police, and I think maybe I can explain
What
so
I've
that...
done can't be explained away.
Well, if you don't want me to talk to them, call up your father.
He's out of town. Left for Chicago this morning.
Well, then why don't you wait? Wait till he comes home. You'll need someone to stand by you. I'll send him a wire. He can be here tomorrow.
It's no use waiting. I want to get it over with.
Well, there's no hurry. That was a very good sign this morning when I called you and Mrs. Fenton in. The first moment Dave's been conscious since the accident. If he goes on getting better,
That doesn't make any difference. It was my car that hit him. Dr. Christian.
Yes.
I have a little money of my own. Oh, I know money can't make up for what I've done, but I want you to see that the Fentons have everything they need.
All right, Marion.
Hello, Dr. Christian. Oh, evening, Miss Brooks.
Oh, hello, Benson.
I was just going by on my way home. Thought I'd drop in. Say, how's Dave Fenton making out?
Well, he's still a pretty sick man, but I think he'll pull through.
Well, that'll be good news for Foster.
Foster?
Oh, haven't you heard? He's the fellow that did it. They picked him up this morning.
Oh, no. You're mistaken.
Nah, we're not mistaken, Miss Brooks. We checked up the whole business.
But are you sure he's the one?
Yeah, you bet we are. We got him in jail.
But you are mistaken.
Nah, there's always a lot of smash-ups on New Year's Eve. Take Jim Allen's car. He parked it in front of the power plant,
I've got to tell
and it was
you.
smacked twice in the same evening. Yeah. Well, so long. I'll go back.
Wait a minute. There's something I ought to tell you.
Huh?
I mean, I've got to tell you that
Wait a minute. Did you say Jim Allen's car was hit twice?
Yeah, that's right. Someone come along before the Fenton accident and banged into it. Then this fella Foster hit it and Fenton at the same time. Foster was scared to death, but he came around this morning and gave himself up. That's a bad curve there anyway, and it... Hey!
Marion!
I'm all right.
Gee, for a second, I thought you were going to faint or something.
I'm tired, that's all.
Well, I guess there's a lot of them feeling that way today.
And Foster confessed?
Yeah, he was smart. Oh, what were you going to say a minute ago, Miss Brooks?
I was going to...
Oh, of course, Benson. She was going to wish you a very happy New Year.
Jean Hersholdt, who has been in New York enjoying a brief holiday and also to attend the world premiere of the new 20th Century Fox production in Old Chicago, returns to the West Coast this week. And so you'll hear next Sunday's Dr. Christian broadcast from Hollywood, California. Jean Hersholdt appears on this program through the courtesy of 20th Century Fox. This is Arthur Gilmore bidding you good afternoon for the makers of Vaseline Preparations. This is the Columbia Broadcasting System.
January 9th, 1938, Dr. Christian on Classic Radio Theater. Mike Lindell, the inveterate CEO of MyPillow, wants to give back to listeners. You can get great discounts on all MyPillow products if you go to MyPillow.com. Click on the radio listener special. Deep discounts on all MyPillow products like the buy one, get one free special on Giza Dream Sheets. All MyPillow products come with a 60-day money-back guarantee, 10-year warranty. Call 1-800-951-8175 or go to MyPillow.com. Click on the radio listener special. Use my promo code USA. Now, an episode of the Coca-Cola sponsored soap opera Claudia. This was from January 9th, 1948.
Miss McBride, I want to put through a long-distance call.
Sure thing, Mr. Norton. I love scaring them long-distance operators. Where to?
I want Mr. Victor Carrington at Adams 7600 in Chicago. I'll take it inside.
Okay, Mr. Norton. Say that, Mr. Killian. All men are alike. After making all that fuss, I see he ate the sandwich I gave him. Hello? Operator, get me Chicago, please. I want to speak to Mr. Victor Carrington at... The circuits are busy? Well, get on your horse and call me. I'll have him in a couple of minutes. Meantime, I'll get after the superintendent downstairs. I gotta give him a good piece of my mind.
Now, take it easy, Lottie. It's only your first day. I wish I could find those blueprints.
They're found.
Where are they?
You left them at home. I called up about half an hour ago and spoke to your mother-in-law. Your wife's bringing them over.
Well, I'll be hanged. What a treasure.
Hello, dearie. I'm calling for Killian and Norton in 912. Are you the superintendent of the building? Oh, that's swell. Now, you listen to me. You've been getting away with murder. But you knew you'd get caught, didn't you? First place, we need new window shades. You haven't any? Well, that's all right. We want Venetian blinds anyway. Yeah, and how many years ago were these windows washed? Before what war? Well, I want them washed before Monday. And how about your cleaning women? What do you got them using up here, dearie? The bare hands? Say, listen, if you don't like the way I talk to you, you just be sure and get everything done or you'll be hearing from me every day until it is done.
Hello. Why, it's you. I don't believe it. I thought you were going to work for Johnson and Groweiler.
Well, hello, dearie. They were closed.
Oh.
Oh, say, are you the girl they asked the agency to send up for the new secretary's job?
Well,
Oh, that's a shame. I grabbed it yesterday.
Oh, no, the agency didn't send me.
Well,
See,
honey, like I said, if the job was right for me, it wouldn't have been right for you. Now, you sit right down there, and I'll just give your agency a little call, and we'll see if they can't send you someplace else.
But I'm not from the agency. You see, you've been so nice to me. You haven't even given me a chance to say.
But if you ain't from the agency, dearie, how come you came up here? What agency is it?
But I'm Mrs. Norton.
Well, Mrs. Norton, I see you made it.
Good morning, Mr. Norton.
Well, get this. You're Mrs. Norton.
Mm-hmm.
What a handsome couple, as they say. That's one on me. Mr. Norton, I almost got you better half a job filing carbons. Oh, dearie, why didn't you tell me who you was?
You never gave me a chance.
We women sure talk a lot, don't we? It's all right. Men talk a lot more. See you on your way out, Mrs. Norton. I'm working on your Chicago call, Mr. Norton.
All right, Lottie.
Should be through in a few minutes. They got all the circuits busy.
No great hurry, Lottie. Don't scare too many operators.
Only when they need it, Mr. Norton.
Hello.
Hello.
Have you got them?
Got what?
The blueprints, of course.
David, I have a terrible confession to make.
Huh? How terrible is it?
It isn't really my confession, it's Bluff's. He's very sorry about the blueprint, but it tasted wonderful.
You mean he ate them?
Oh, only a little piece of one.
Some men are hounded by their creditors, but I am hounded by my hound. How much did he eat?
Here. Better look for yourself.
Well, that isn't as bad as it might be. He only chewed one of the trees on the sketch. Don't be so proud, Miss Fix-It. If it had been Lottie's, the dog wouldn't have dared lick a blade of grass.
You mean to tell me Lottie is more efficient than I am?
I do.
I don't believe it. You know, I thought so, too, the minute I met her in the elevator.
Is she the girl you were trying to tell me about yesterday?
Of course, the minute I saw her, I said, there goes David's secretary. Only you wouldn't listen to me. Does Roger like her, too?
Like her. He's practically mesmerized by her. I wonder what's holding her up on that Carrington call.
Oh, you're going to tell Mr. Carrington that you're turning him down?
I am.
I wonder how he's going to feel about it.
Oh, he won't feel it all. He'll just go out and get another architect to move to Chicago and build him his freight terminal.
But there isn't any architect who can do it aside from you.
You confine your remarks to me as a husband. There he is now.
How are you going to say it?
Hello. Hello, Mr. Carrington. Yes, this is David Norton. Yes, they told me you were away. Did you have a nice trip?
David, what's he saying?
Mr. Carrington. Yes, I'm calling about that freight terminal project. You are? Well, I almost wish you weren't, Mr. Carrington. Oh, no. I'm still very interested in the whole project of a more effective freight transfer system, but, well, certain things have developed. No, Mr. Carrington, your offer was very generous.
Just what I told you. There isn't any other architect.
Yes, Mr. Carrington. Well, I know that you want the architect to work directly for you rather than a consultant, and since I've just become a member of this firm, I don't feel I ought to or want to leave right now. Oh, Mr. Carrington. Yes, well, let me say that I think you're absolutely right in wanting the architect to work for you. Mr. Carrington? Hello? Hello, Mr. Carrington?
What happened? What'd he say?
He didn't say anything. I've been cut off. Now I can't even get Lottie.
David, you sit there and watch me explode with curiosity. What'd he say? Didn't I tell you you're the only architect in America?
Say, who exactly is this Carrington bird?
Lottie, I was cut off. Can you get him back for me?
Let the gent get himself back. Who is he now?
He's a very important man in Chicago. Wanted me to go to work for him.
Wanted you? From where I sit, it sounded to me like he wants you out in Chicago this minute.
Lottie, did you listen? What'd he say? Mr. Norton won't tell me.
Listen, would I do a thing like that? I just left my key open.
Mm-hmm. What else did you hear?
I heard you trying to tell him that he couldn't have you his way, so he'd be better off not to have you at all. That's when I cut him off.
Lottie, you cut him off.
It was killing me to listen to Mr. Norton.
Well, you'd better get him right back again, Lottie.
You were so slow, Mr. Norton. It seemed to me like you ought to have a little more time to think things over.
Mr. Norton's been thinking about this for weeks.
Well, maybe so.
Now, go on, Lottie. Let's hear the rest of it.
Well, he sounds like a big butter and egg man, this Carrington gent.
Butter and eggs and a lot of other things. Go on.
Well, you know how these big-timers are. You see them all the time in New York. I was in Chicago for a couple of days one time, and you can take it from me, they ain't no different out there.
I'm taking it from you.
When they want something, they want you to know that they want it their way. Then when they can't get it their way, they'll take it any way that they can get it.
I see what Lottie means. Do you really think so, Lottie?
Well, I'm not interested in Carrington unless it means that he hires the firm. Well, I know he doesn't want that.
Well, maybe he doesn't want it, but maybe he'll take it. You see what I mean now?
Yeah, I see, but I don't know. All right, we'll try it. You get him back on the phone, Lottie.
What's the hurry, Mr. Norton? We got all day.
Oh, let's do it right now. I want to hear what happened.
Yeah, we know he's in his office now. We wouldn't know about that later. Go ahead, try
Yeah,
it.
well, he knows you're in yours, too.
What do you mean? Oh, you mean you think he'll call us?
I'll give him 2 minutes. See? The 2 minutes is up.
What do you know?
Killian and Norton. Mr. Norton? May I ask who's calling him, please? Mr. Carrington? Mr. Norton is here. Please put Mr. Carrington on the line, operator. Mr. Norton is right here. Please put Mr. Carrington on the line first. Hello, Mr. Carrington. Are you sure this is Mr. Carrington? Oh, I have Mr. Norton for you, Mr. Carrington. 1 moment, please.
Hello, Mr. Carrington. Yes, I'm sorry. Yes, we were cut off. Yes, Mr. Carrington, we're very interested in the project, but... Yes, but only as a firm. Well, I'm sorry, sir. That's the only way we'll consider it.
Say, where is everybody?
Shh, Roger, David's talking to Chicago.
Who does he know in Chicago?
Well, I realize that isn't how you originally wanted to handle it, Mr. Carrington, but I'm afraid it's the only basis on which we'll consider it. Yes, of course. We'll be able to come to Chicago for consultations. Well, Mr. Carrington, I suggest you write us a letter, and Mr. Killian and I'll give it our immediate attention. Yes, I certainly will, Mr. Carrington. And thank you. Goodbye. He sends you his regards, Claudia.
Thank you.
I suppose that eventually someone will tell me what's been going on.
Roger, we've just got A new job.
Really? What is it?
Victor Carrington. You remember? Out in Chicago. He's commissioning us to do a freight terminal for him.
Victor Carrington? A freight terminal? The freight terminal? Do you realize what that means?
Yes, I think I do.
It's the biggest thing we've had in years. It can put us right on the map in raised letters and gold ink. It's tremendous.
That's how I feel about it.
All on account of that article of yours? Do you mean that the telephone rang in the office, you picked it up, and there, like Aphrodite coming out of the surf, was Victor Carrington on the other end asking us to do this job?
It was almost like that, Roger.
It was, huh? Then why did he send his regards to Claudia?
Oh, that. He didn't mean it particularly. It was just a way of talking.
Just a way of... How well do you and Claudia know him?
You don't miss anything, do you? Doesn't amount to anything. Claudia sat next to him at one of Julius' dinner parties. You know what they're like.
And he talked about freight terminals then?
Oh, nothing much.
Nothing much that you want to talk about, you mean? Out with it.
Well, there was some talk of my going to Chicago and working for him on it. Then I decided against it. I thought that finished it.
Hold on a moment. Victor Carrington offered you a job, and you turned it down. To stay with me.
Oh, you nosy old codger. Don't you know there was more for us here?
Oh, David, don't try to laugh it off. I think you know how much this commission means to me. I'd like to tell you that your decision means even more.
Well, thank you, Roger.
Oh, no, David. It's I who thank you for many, many things.
I think you both ought to thank Miss McBride.
Miss McBride? Well, I can see by your faces that I'm going to wait a long time for the explanation of that one.
Mr. Killian, telephone!
These programs star Catherine Bard as Claudia and Paul Crabtree as David. And the entire production is supervised and directed by William Brown Maloney.
From January 9th, 1948, Claudia. Isn't that just a sweet little show? I enjoy it. I hope you do as well. I hope you visit my webpage, classicradio.stream. You can stream our shows there on demand, learn more about classic radio collecting, and contact me. We've got our social media links there as well, and a link to our new download page for Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox is where you search for our podcasts, okay? And thank this station, support their advertisers, tell your friends the great radio shows are right here at this spot on the dial. Classic Radio Theater on your favorite station.